Howdy friends, this is Mitty Man coming back at you from Walker's Music. Yet another word for the day. We give God the praise, Sunday morning edition. We give God the praise and honor and the glory. This is one of the rare Sundays that I have available, and I have no church services. It's fifth Sunday. There used to be a time when I would play in something they call the union meetings, and they had a district union meeting, and I used to have to go and perform in those, but recently I have not had to do any of that type of activity in quite a while. So therefore on fifth Sundays I would have really that'll be time to myself, and you know, we need that also. Everybody needs some time to themselves. What we call R&R. So that being said, we count it still a blessing and a privilege. I want to give a shout out to the YouTube family, from Baby Justice all the way up to Big Papa JT, as well as Mama JT. We also want to give a shout out to the End Time Harvest Gang, Brother L.A., Kingdom Knowledge, Elder Michael McCray, P.P. Drawing, Brother Hardencliff, Brother JT, Papa JT, Little Brother Orange Flavor, Sister Hot Yoga, Sister Kate, as well as our friend Linda, also to our newfound friend Leonard, all those that make up the inner circle. I want to talk to you this morning, people, about seasons. Seasons change. Seasons change. In the book of Ecclesiastes, and that's what I'm searching for right now, in the book of Ecclesiastes, it tells us that in all things there is a season and a time. In other words, for all things which are done under the heavens. And I want to find that. I want to read from the scriptures. I want to read that from the scriptures. In our lives, a lot of times we feel that we can't understand we don't understand a lot of things, people. That's the point about it. We do not understand a lot of things, why they happen in our lives. But nevertheless, if God be the head of our lives, we are led by the Spirit now. We're never going to go wrong. We may not understand it, but if we just follow His lead, we won't go wrong. And a lot of times, it doesn't make sense sometimes to us. And sometimes you might feel that we are making a mistake when we do certain things, but we walk by faith and not by sight. We can't look at the way it seems, because a lot of times, the way things seem is not always the way they are. We all know that, and I'm quite sure you do as well. Not trying to insult anybody intelligent, but there's come a time in a season when seasons change, when you see things start. I tell you what, let's read the book. Let's read the scriptures, and we're going to come from Ecclesiastes in the 3rd chapter, and I'm just going to read just a few verses there of Ecclesiastes. Start at verse 1, chapter 3. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to keep and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. In other words, let me read that again. Verse 6. A time to get, y'all hear this now, and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. Now that's one we all need to check out. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. What profit hath he What profit had he that worketh in that wherein he laboureth? I have seen the travail which God had given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He had made everything beautiful in his time. Also he had set the world in their hearts, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. Let's stop right there. May God add a blessing to the readers, hearers, and doers of his word. People, let's reread that 13th verse. And also that every man should eat and drink. That means when the Bible speaks, say man. Let me tell you, female, something. Don't feel bad. It's not talking about the male species. It's talking about mankind. So that means male and female. It means women and men alike. And also that every mankind should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. Wait a minute. I thought it ain't right for us to enjoy the gifts and enjoy the fruit of our labor. Somebody else supposed to enjoy it. That ain't what that said. Every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of his labor. It is the gift of God. Well, that just dispelled a lot of myths. People, you cannot, a person that labors, suppose it's the gift of God that he or she enjoy the fruit of their labor. That's their right. God-given right. And it is the gift of God. That dispels all the myths and all that misconceptions about whether or not a person should, in other words, you sitting around waiting for me to labor and then you enjoy it all. No. That's not biblical. We see that from the Bible. That's not scripture. But at any rate, I got to move on to this video. It's a time for all things. Seasons change. That's what I'm saying. Seasons change. I found out, this here from Minuteman experience people, I found out that you can just about tell. Now, I didn't always know this, but this came through experience, life experience. You can just about tell when it's a time for a season to change in your life. The way that Minuteman have looked at it. In other words, I'm sort of like Solomon now when he said, I looked under the sun and I've seen things too. When things start to not working that used to work, that could be an indication that God is ready for you to move to a new season. That's when things that used to work flawlessly and it just worked so smoothly, and all of a sudden it began to not work, or have very, very much difficulty in working. Maybe that's a sign that God is trying to go move you to a new season. When people start changing with you, people that you once knew, when they start changing with you and they start getting distance from you, moving out of your life, God is getting ready for a season change in yours. He's moving you to a new level. Or he's moving them to a new level. You see, people, we get used to things. We are human species and we get very comfortable and we don't want to change. But everything in nature changes. Everything. It's a bad wind that don't ever change. But at any rate, sometimes it is very difficult to us to accept this. But you see, when God get through with something, God said, okay, now, when Moses died, and I'm going to hurry up, people. When Moses died, the children of Israel mourned for Moses, I think, for over a month. I believe it was something like that. I'm not sure, and I'm not going to get the Bible to go back and check that out. But the principle of what I'm trying to explain, this will help explain it. Moses told Joshua, my servant Moses now is dead. Y'all get up and go on and take the promised land. See, in other words, there's a time to mourn. Then there's a time to stop mourning. In other words, you got to go on and do what God wants you to do. When God get ready to move us to a new season, sometimes we may not understand it. I'm quite sure. Look at Abraham. Abraham, when God told Abraham to move out of the Ur of Chaldees, out of his home, and leave his father's house, and go to a land that he would show him, Abraham didn't know where he was going. But by faith he moved. Count God, the one that told him to do it, faithful, that he would lead him to the right into a fruitful and a promised land, which God did do. It didn't happen overnight, but it did happen. So in other words, when we are faced with these different aspects of our lives and we start seeing difficulties in our life, don't get, and I'm saying this here as a personal experience and talking to somebody, don't be too discouraged when you start seeing things that are not working. It might be God trying to get you and move you into a new season. See, because he's through with that now. He needs you over here. You see, when we are placed in certain areas for a season, everybody that come in your life, they don't come there to stay. They come there to do a certain task or a purpose. And once they serve that purpose in your life, they move on. Everybody doesn't come to stay. So, with that being said, Mighty Man is just going to say, you know, that we helping everybody that going to church somewhere today. Do have a great worship experience, worshiping God in spirit and truth. Remember, that's the way we have to do it. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't be a hypocrite, but nevertheless, don't never try to satisfy man because you can't. With that being said, this Mighty Man saying whatever you get into, if God is not in it, please come on out of it. This Mighty Man saying peace. Goodbye.